Prime TV has just released new footage of Gervonta Davis in the training camp. Just immediately after the announcement of his rematch with Lamont Roach, Gervonta Davis has hit the ground running and wasted no time in getting into the gym. And guess what? Gervonta Davis's head coach, Calvin Ford, is back in the gym with him. The decision to bring back Calvin Ford has always been a no-brainer. Seeing how badly Gervonta Davis performed in the one match, Calvin Ford wasn't in his corner or in his training camp as the head trainer. To avoid such mishap, Calvin Ford has taken his rightful place.
I made the decision of training DC because, I haven't been in the coldness in a minute. I haven't even trained in the coldness in a minute, so I feel though this will help me. I'm from Baltimore, he's not from DC. That's what I learned. I thought he was from DC too. DC my second home. I've been coming up here since I was 9 years old, even younger. So I'm not really trying to get in his personal business.
The footage began with Gervonta Davis doing some intense training to work on his power again. Tank is known not to fancy so much of weightlifting and muscle building, as he feels it slows fighters down. He once trolled one of his opponents.
We did how many rounds? What's like that?
Yeah, but you in the back for about 8-2.
Yeah.
There you go. You're not that shit.
But after seeing how ineffective his punches on Lamont Roach were, he's decided to lift some weight and build some muscle. Then, the footage showed how he would normally start an average day, where he'll normally go on an early morning jog. Afterwards, he'd do some warm down, get breakfast, then get ready for the day's work. His day then involves sparring, shadowboxing, work on the mitts, specific training on speed, punches, and head movements. Clearly, Gervonta Davis isn't taking this fight lightly, as the first leg forced him into losing a boxing record he had worked for over 30 fights. Davis is preparing in the gym for his upcoming test and appears to be taking things very seriously, even more seriously than he did in the first fight. And the reason isn't far-fetched. The Baltimore champion and his next opponent, Lamont Roach, had one of the most intense boxing matches in 2025. And if there's a fighter that'll test both his weapons and his resolve, Lamont Roach is that fighter, as he's done that already. And recently, Gervonta Davis made a shocking revelation about himself when he said his biggest fear is the fear of being embarrassed and mocked by boxing fans. The kind of mockery he got after taking a knee against Lamont Roach on March 1st. To avoid that kind of mistake, he's gotten Calvin Ford to put him through his training sessions again. The same man who met him since he was a young boy and taught him the science of boxing till he became a world champion.
We fought maybe 2 or 3 times. Tank being the winner. They sparred a few times. Tank got the best of the spar. They just bigger and stronger now, older.
Now, it's some word out there that Lamont.
In a conversation with Fight Hype, Ford cited their previous meetings and battles. In addition, the Baltimore native coach admitted that Roach fought a great fight and has pushed the button, placing the ball in Tank's court as the boxing world expects a huge response from him. He declared, "They've known each other since the amateurs, the silver gloves and everything. They grew up with each other. Everybody's talking about all that stuff. Why Roach? Because he took the fight and it's good for the community." Roach and him had back and forth battles and whatnot. It's going to be a pretty interesting fight because Roach comes to fight. I think it's a great fight, said Ford.
Older.
Now, it's some word out there that Lamont said, he got some film that don't make Tank look too good. What could that? How could that affect, the outcome on December 14th?
Shit, man. Tank last 4 or 5 opponents all had film about how they beat him up in spawn. If that's the case, that should happen. But fight night.
According to Ford, it would be an interesting fight because Roach never shied from exchanges and would come to fight, despite his reputation as a skilled fighter. The fans initially had different thoughts about it, as this is the 3rd time the World Boxing Association champion has picked a fight with someone from a lower division to defend his gold strap. People are going to do that. That's what fans do. They give bad criticism, said Ford, criticizing fighters when they take opponents in, especially when they do it repeatedly throughout their careers, as Tank Davis has done. I remember when everyone was saying I should let Pitbull fight Tank again. They were talking about that, and then when he won that belt, World Boxing Association, light welterweight, boom. I don't get involved with that. I just prepare him and get him ready to put on a great performance for the fans and whatnot. Like I said, we just focus on the fight in front of us, and that's the fight in front of us, said Ford, about Roach being the next title defense for Gervonta in August. It remains to be seen whether Roach will utilize the experience of their past encounters and make it a stepping stone into handing Gervonta Davis his first loss.
That's a good fight. That's a real good fight. I would love to see that. That's a scrappy. That'll be a scrappy fight.
Hey, give me how you compare the styles.
I got Shushu boxing a little bit more than Roach. But Roach can box, but to me he's more.
How you put your balance felt like?
Fans were eager to question why he's going so hard, despite this not being one of the toughest fights of his career. Definitely, his fights against Ryan Garcia and Isaac Cruz presented him tougher opponents than this, but he seems to be doing more than he's ever done this time. Well, it could be because it's his last year in boxing based on his announcement last month, and he probably wants to give it his very best and leave the sport on a high when the ovation is loudest. The video showed Tank doing some body exercises, stretches, and push-ups. The lightweight world champion has missed weight quite a few times during the course of his career. And to avoid what happened in his last fight, where he had to miss his grand arrival because he was on the road jogging and making attempts to make weight.
A little bit more than Roach. But Roach can box, but to me he's more of an inside fighter. He fight better on the inside.
And Lamont Roach. Yeah, Lamont
Yeah.
Roach is gritty, man. Lamont Roach is gritty. What do you think?
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm right about this or not. Best dude at 130 is O'Shaquie Foster.
Oh, I don't know about that. I like Foster. He's tough though, but
After his body exercises, the world champion got on the mitts and punching bag, testing his punch power. Afterwards, he engaged in some sparring with an unknown sparring partner before taking a short break. He then looked to get camera and said, "Taking it all out on March 1st. According to Boxing News 24, Gervonta Davis is already working on his fitness and is almost at the weight for his title defense. And to begin the road to retirement, that promoter Leonard Alerbe said he understood in a chat for the laboratory with Plaz. I can understand what's going on. Things are different when you have kids. It changes your life completely. He sees things differently than he did 6 or 7 years ago. If that's what he said, that he's retiring, and we all heard it," Leonard Alerbe said of Gervonta's retirement announcement, adding, "Life is so much more than something you do for a living. You have respect for the fans who pay their money to see you fight, but you have a life outside of boxing. They want you to keep doing this, and they really don't care about your health afterwards." Alerbe described boxing as a brutal sport, in which many boxers of the past have been taken advantage of in different ways, and also had different health problems.
I gotta rock with Roach.
Over O'Shaquie?
Yes. Roach can crack, man.
Wow.
I'm rocking with Roach.
I think this is the first time we part, bro, on this one.
Uh,
I think this is the first one we part on this one.
yeah.
I think I
Roach can
gotta
get that.
take O'Shaquie, man. O'Shaquie, only thing with O'Shaquie is O'Shaquie got a little bit.
A lot of permanent things. I understand the philosophy that you get into the sport and leave your mark, and then you leave it there. Everyone's opinion is different, and everyone has different goals in life, Ellerbe said. It has been confirmed that their WBA lightweight title fight rematch is set to headline an August 16th fight card. Davis Roach was mired in controversy. Though the final scores 115-113 Davis, 114-114, and 114-114 were largely reflective of what took place in the ring. A case was made that Roach deserved the nod, though the decision was not considered a robbery among most objective observers. Where Roach fell prey to questionable officiating was during a 9th round sequence that should have altered the direction for the remainder of the fight.
Do you want that rematch next? And if so, how likely it is that we're to see that fight happen again this year?
I'm not sure, bro. I'm definitely not sure, but hopefully we could get it before. Nah, it probably won't be this year.
Is that the one you want next?
It's definitely the one I want next.
Roach, who hails from the greater Washington, D.C. area, connected with a jab midway through the 9th round. Baltimore's Davis turned to look at referee Steve Willis before moving in the opposite direction to take a knee. Not only was a knockdown never called during the sequence, but Davis was permitted to call his own timeout to have co-trainer Calvin Ford wipe what he described as hair chemicals that dripped into his eye and temporarily impacted his vision.
How do you assess his power after being in there for 12?
He got decent power. He got decent power for sure. I ain't gonna say it's exaggerated. I told you I got a chin. I ain't going like that. It's just not gonna happen. But like I said, I see why he knocked people out, and I think he felt my power too. Like I think that's what negated a lot of